Now, today's webinar is all about Analyticsǃ. So you've probably seen the release notifications that Insights is now retired and Analyticsǃ is now the new tool to help you manage your day-to-day. So we like to say data is power or data is money, and that is what Analyticsǃ is doing for you. So you'll be able to manage your team, your business, your day, and you'll be able to identify those growth opportunities or areas of improvement. Now, you'll also notice things are going to get speedier and simpler to use, and we do have a whole lot of additional functionality I'm going to have a look at for you. So in today's session, we're going to have a little bit of a look at some things you can do to get ready. So we always say your cloud database is what you put in it, and our Analyticsǃ is what you're going to be able to get out of it. So a bit like Nutrigrain. We're going to show you some tips and tricks there. We're also going to have a look through the new interface and functionality. So some of the cool things you can do and how you can get around. Now, we don't have time to cover every single report in the system. There are just way too many, but we are going to have a look at some key dashboards and reports you can use in the system. So with that, let's jump into console. Okay, so like I said, we're going to get started with just a few little tips and tricks as you gear up for your analytics. Now we're going to focus on your workflows, and we're just going to show you some quick audits you can do and some key areas you can check to make sure you're getting the most out of your cloud data. So to start with, I'm in my properties and my residential section, and we're going to pop into our maintenance area first. Now we're going to have a look at the maintenance dashboard as we go through this. So one thing to check here is your maintenance being regularly managed? So are your property managers regularly coming in, filtering to new, and managing those maintenance requests? You can see here I've had an urgent request come in. It's 3 months old, so it's obviously not being maintained. Also utilize your filters. So if I popped down to my portfolio, I can see that that is actually my maintenance request that needs to be managed. Also keep an eye on the statuses. So is maintenance being progressed through? Are we waiting on any outstanding bills? Are we managing that being raised by the tenancy app? So always a key thing to come in and check. How many are sitting in new, not being moved? How many are overdue? And what's the priority here? Another area, so just popping back to properties, residential, and across to my inspections. Now, always, we want to focus on those filters when we're doing a quick check or an audit. So over the side here, into your filters, I'm going to pop on routine. I'm going to look at all open. I'm just going to filter up until yesterday. So I'm looking at anything that is still open up until yesterday. Popping in a little sort here so you can sort your inspection date up and down. I can look at my most overdue here. So we can see we had Gail here at Macquarie Street, Tenerife. Her inspection was very, very old. Something's gone terribly wrong here. We might not be closing our inspections properly, particularly these ones that are vacated, or we might not be sending reports and closing. So always a good idea, just do some quick audits, make sure your property managers are keeping on top of their inspections. Again, filtering down by portfolio as well, if you do need that. Another key one to check, your lease renewals. So depending on your management agreements, this might be a really key thing for you to check, because when you look at some of our fee reporting, when you look at some of your income dashboarding, it might simply be that we're not managing our renewals properly. So in that case, we just want to make sure we're popping in, checking on our lease renewals and having a look to make sure they're being actively managed. Now, last one I'm going to show you is your gained and lost management reasons. So as we work with our business growth, as we work with our changes in the market, we want to make sure we're tracking why we are growing and potentially where we might be losing our business to. So the first thing you want to have set up is your settings. Now, someone who has permissions, your office administrator, can come in under settings, gained and lost, and set up potential reasons why we might have gained a management or lost a management. You can see here under my gained, I have some reasons. I can add a reason. And with my existing, I can edit or make inactive if they're no longer relevant. The other thing we can do is we can pop in referrers. So if we're working with common referrers and we want to track where we are getting that referral from, add your referrers into the system. And of course, lost as well, just as important with our lost reasons. We want to make sure we know why we are losing business. Is it another agency? Are our owners moving in? Is there customer experience or our opportunity with our property managers? And if we're losing business, who are we losing it to? So are we losing it to the real estate agency down the road with an extremely low commission? In which case we want to be making sure we've got both our lost to and our lost reasons. Now, what that looks like on an agreement is very, very simple to update. So I'm just going to pop into people and I'm going to show you two examples. I'm going to show you a gained reason and a lost reason. So I'm going to just run a quick search here. I'm going to pop into Alfie and then I'm going to just have a look at her ownership agreement. Clicking edit here. And then as I can see with my gained, I have the gained date and the reason popped in. So I can see that she was unhappy with previous agent. Now, if you're looking at putting in additional details, this is a great idea for that customer experience. You want to give them a really good experience. You might want to track why they were unhappy. Again, if you want to track your BDM performance, make sure you are popping in your gained by. So BDM work, we can track. Or if it's coming from a referrer outside of your system, pop in one of your referrers. If you have lost a management, when you tick lost, exactly the same. You want to pop in that lost reason so we can track why we are losing things. When we get into our gained and lost management's dashboard, we are going to see that you can trend line this too. So really, really important. Okay, so we have had a look at some top tips. So first of all, audit your workflows. Make sure your property managers are updating their maintenance, their inspections, their lease renewals. Get your gained and lost management reasons set up if they're not already set up. And make sure that when we are entering these ownership agreements or flagging them as lost, we pop in those reasons and then who we've either lost them to or who has gained them for us. So now that we've done that, let's jump into analytics. So over the side menu here, down to analytics. Now, very similar at the start, but once you start diving into the reports over here, a little bit different. So I'm going to jump into one report that might be familiar to those of you who are already using Insights, the All Properties report. Now, this is where it starts getting a little bit different and a little bit fancier. So once we jump into the All Properties, we'll start going through some of the key new interfaces. So starting up the top here, we have our charts and we can flip to a table. So anytime we want to have a look at just the raw data, we can pop across to the table view or maintain it in the chart view. Over the side here, we have filters. So we can apply filters to any of our dashboards if we want to drill down further. So you could filter to a particular property manager. You could filter to a portfolio. You could filter to a location. So I'm just going to pop a filter on here and I'm going to filter to a particular office. So allowing me to just drill down. Just wait for that to load a little bit on Wi-Fi over here. Now, once we have the filter applied, that's going to apply over all of the charts there. So we've got some relevant information. Now, all of these charts are interactive as well. So if I was to hover over a little chart, I've got a little eye icon. Now that eye icon is going to show me what is behind that chart. So for example, I can see the average flat fee commission and how it's calculated. Now over the side, we can also hide our filters. So you can blow this up to full screen. And if this is that report that you want to bring to that Monday morning meeting, you can either present it as is, or you can print to PDF just up the top by hitting PDF or the 3 little dots and download to PDF. Now, scrolling down, we have new widgets available. So if I look at this, I can see average annual rent by location. So I've now got a map view, and with the map view, I can zoom in and out, I can move around the map, and I can hover over information to see more. So I can see how many properties and the average annual rent that's applied to them. If I was to click one of these little areas, it's going to apply that filter over the rest of my dashboard. So if I wanted to look at what's happening in Bellbowrie, I'll be able to see these same KPIs over that area. So how many vacant properties in this area? What's my average annual rent? What's my average commission for this? So it's giving you that ability to pull data over a particular location. Just in this little section here, clear selection, and it brings it back to our standard dashboard. Now, popping down under our high-level snapshot KPIs, we also have the property and vacancy chart with the average rent by month. Now, anytime we have a chart that has ongoing information like this, now this is a month-by-month chart, you can see that I've got the actual figures, but I've also got trend lines. So hovering over it, it's showing me the trend. Now, if I'm looking at this as a business owner, I want to be aware of these trends because I want to identify where I might end up. And to do so, I can also use forecasting. So under the Analyze It, we have 2 options here. So I've got my trend lines on. I'm showing my trend for my properties, for my average weekly rent, and for my vacancies. So I'm seeing where we're going. Under my forecasting, I can then forecast the future, doing a bit of a Doctor Who. So what I might do is I'll use this to zoom in on a particular time frame. So I'm now zooming in. I'm now drilling down a little bit. And over here, this little arrow, if I pop that out, that will show me my forecast. Now, what it's going to give you with your forecast, let me just move it to the side here a little bit, is it's going to show me my upper and lower limits. So looking at my average rent, my forecast value, highest level 496, lowest level 492. Up the top, property numbers, it's also showing me my potential growth, or in some cases loss, hopefully not. Vacancy rates also showing me what's going to start happening. Now, as a manager, we want to be looking at this as a trigger point. If I can see vacancies are going up, potentially rents going down or commissions going down, we want to take that as an action item. And that's what the power of forecasting is for you. Now, popping down further, we also have the same with our average annual rent and commission. I have forecasting applied on. Now, popping over, I want to do the same thing. Where is my commission going? When I look at my rent, same thing. Where is my rent going? And I'm just going to pop that back in so that I can look at the graph as is. And popping down a little bit further, we have properties, vacancies, and a few little further information here. Again, clicking on the widgets, we can have a look at what it is. And then doing a right-hand click on anything, we can drill down. So if I wanted to drill down to a property level, I could drill down to a property level. If I wanted to look at Bob's portfolio after seeing this particular area where we've got a lot of vacancies, clicking on Bob's portfolio will apply it across the entire dashboard. So just some really cool things you can do. You can have a look at your high-level KPIs. You can have a look at your actual widgets here. You can scale these widgets in and out, and you can use trend lines and forecasting to see where you're going. So really, really important for you to actually have a look at what's next. So that's our all properties report. Just a little bit of a high level introduction to the interface and some of the key things you can get there. Now I'm going to pop into an additional report here. So I'm going to have a look at our inspections. We looked at our inspections. We looked at how you could do a quick filter, a check of what's happening. But this inspections report is also great for you to keep on top of your inspections. So you can have a look at workload. You can have a look at resourcing. You can have a look at potentially also forecasting for labor. So do you need more people to assist? Can someone actually go on leave? What is scheduled over a period? So very, very handy dashboard to look at, particularly if you work in a pod. So if you've got an inspections pod, it's great to have a look at this dashboard. Now, exactly the same, popping it out over the side here. I can apply any filters. You can see here it's retained my last filter. Now, up the top, again, we have those high-level KPIs. So I can see what's scheduled, what's in progress, what's scheduled for today, and what's scheduled for this week. We also have an average days to send. So this one is quite a good one to look at because this is the days between the close of the inspection and how long it took to send the report to your owner. So we want to be looking at this as, again, little action item. 25 days to send, I've got some work to do. Again, a map view. So we can look at upcoming inspections by area. Now, if you, like me, have a rather large database with multiple areas, we can look at how much we're doing in a particular time, in a particular time frame. 4 inspections in the next 5 days in this area. Upcoming inspections, we can have a look at it via a date count or via a date. So if I wanted to see if I got any inspections scheduled for Christmas week, really, really easy to just have a look over the side here and see if I've got any inspections. And then scrolling down, we can also have a look at a little bit of a productivity and a little bit of best practice. So what are my inspections sitting in? So I have a whole lot scheduled. I have a whole lot inspected, a whole lot in progress, but not many closed. So this is telling me that my property managers need to manage their statuses. I can also see who's doing the most. So TJ right on top of it, followed by Brooke. But then we also have some people doing slightly less. And our entry notices. So if you're sitting there going, okay, I have a huge amount of scheduled inspections without entry notices sent and action items, because this is a really great tool to trigger if compliance or if you're not meeting your service agreements. So another really good one to look at for productivity, for output of your team, and for potential compliance. Alrighty, we'll pop down to our next one. So we're following a trend of all those tips and tricks. We're going to have a look at our gained and lost properties. So I'm going to pop into our gained and lost here. And we're going to have a look at some of the things available to you. Again, same functionality over the side here. If I just pop out, we have our office available to us. So if I wanted to have a look across a patch of offices, perhaps I'm working or I have access to multiple offices, I can trigger on that. So let's pop in all of our offices here. Just a multi-select and OK. And now I can see what's happening across the entire business. I can see total properties over the side here, new owners, and then how many we've lost and gained. If you have a look down here, I also have a report date. So I'm looking at the last 180 days. I can edit that and I can filter that too. So if I wanted to look at last 90 days, if I just wanted to look at it in quarters, it in months, great opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to go in year, this year, okay. And then scrolling down, we can start to see those gained and lost reasons. So underneath my figures up the top, so the high level snapshot of how many new owners, what's been lost, what's been gained, and also a really great metric here, gained average yearly dollar amount from average rent. We have the reason why. So we can see here that the one that I lost was only because the owner was moving in. So that's a good trigger. I'm happy with that. We then have the properties gained. We can see that one's an existing client and several are unhappy with previous agent. Now, if I wanted to look at a drill, again, right-hand click, drill down to the property. If I wanted to potentially have a look at a BDM reason, so again, if we had BDM, I could drill down further into that. Popping down, we also have net performance by portfolio. So really, really important to have a look at this too, because this is indicating to you what's happening with my team. So Helena, Michael, and Ozan, they're all growing their portfolios. But Bob over here, he's starting to drop properties. Now I'm just going to run a clear selection on this one because I've got a filter applied, but that's going to show me what's happening with my property managers. Very, very keen. Again, gained reasons by portfolio, or lost reasons as well. And then we can see gain and loss by rent commission. So very good to look at this. Good to see where your business is going. And again, if I wanted to look at a trend, my performance by week is going to allow me to show a trend line. So if you are losing a lot or gaining a lot, have a look at those trend lines and have a look at how you can focus on it. So again, little trend, zoom out, and I can see that up and down movement. Hovering over it, I can see what's going to happen. So really, really good report to look at. Good to see where your movement is. Good to see your gained average yearly. Good to drill down on why you might be losing, why you might be gaining, and then take action off the back of that. Alrighty, so I can see the guys are very busy with those questions. Thanks for popping them all through. Good to see that you guys are loving it. And thank you to Anne and Tash for answering those. Now, 2 more reports we'll look at, and then I'll highlight some other ones you might want to have a quick sneak into. But the first one is the PM KPI dashboard. I'm just going to pop down here, and we're going to have a look at our property manager KPI dashboard. Now, clicking into this is the dashboard that should be driving your PM meeting. So if you have a weekly meeting, or if you're wanting to have a one-on-one conversation, or if you're wanting to move someone, if you're looking at people who could advance into a property manager or a senior property manager role, this is the dashboard that would probably be best for you to look at. Now, again, I'm going to start by popping on some filters. So I'm going to drill down into an office, and then I might also drill down into a portfolio or a property manager as appropriate, just depending on how you've got your console database configured. Once those filters are applied, you're going to see high-level KPIs up the top with further information down the bottom. So I'll just leave that to think. But up the top, we're going to see our lease ends and renewals. We're also going to see our inspections. And if you have a look as well, underneath that, you'll see some key dates. So I'd be able to see lease end dates. I'd be able to see any vacating dates over a particular period. So again, scrolling through, I can look at it in a time frame. Anything that's happening as well. So if you have a look here, we have some vacate dates next 3 months, and then inspections in the next 7 days. Hovering over anything highlighted, you can see further information. I can see what's happening with my leases and my maintenance as well. So in this one, I can see that I have 3 people who are either expired or periodic. They don't have leases. My maintenance closure, not great. Need to definitely look at that and drill down into that a little bit further. Average arrears by portfolio. Again, really good benchmarking tool. So if you're looking across an entire team, what are the arrears like? Do I have any outliers? Should I be actioning a particular property manager's results harder than anyone else? Slightly further down, we have our annual rent. Now, our rent variance, another good one, because that's the variance between the weekly rent and the recommended rent. So showing, what is your income potential versus what it probably should be or what the property managers are recommended. And current vacant days. So you can see here we've got some work to do in some of my portfolios. For this one, popping back on all my filters, hitting OK, just sending it back to my entire business. I'll be able to see that PM performance over the business. Now, someone did pop into the chat that they can't see the property manager KPI option. This is a premium report. So both this and the business KPI I'm about to have a look at is part of the premium subscription, but they are really handy. So if you are considering getting a premium or looking at that next step, definitely worth it. And always calling out, we can print to PDF. Alrighty. Next one we're going to have a look at is our business KPI. And not only is this premium, this is also restricted. So if you are a business manager, if you are that super administrator of your account and anyone else needs access, you will just need to provide them access. Going to pop in. Thanks, Nathan. And then similar to our PM KPI dashboard, this dashboard will highlight key stats, but will focus on your business results and forecasting. Now, you can look at this as a stakeholder tool. You can look at this as something to take to your management meetings, and you can drill down and forecast again further. Okay, so this one is a year-to-date report. I'm just going to give that a moment to load. I've got a lot going on in my database. And you can see those KPIs are starting to fill out. So we've now can see our active property number. We can see my tenant in arrears. We can see our properties by portfolio. So we can see Bob here, 283 properties. Our average annual rent. And just under that, we have another great forecasting one here. So we have our trend chart. So we're looking at the trend for average annual rent. And when we look at it, we've got a trend line applied. So I can see where's my average annual rent going. Again, little trigger for you guys. If you've got an Analyze It, you can click in to look at forecasting or apply trend lines to your graph. We can look at my lost and gained properties, my average weekly rent, I should say, and how that is changing again with our zooming in on a particular location or a particular time in the report and looking at that forecast. A little bit further down, we also have average commission, and then we have changes to average commission. So another great one to forecast. So I was at 10%. Let's zoom in a little bit, analyze it. We could have a look at a trend and see how we're moving. Now I'm moving up, which is great. But if you are moving down, you might want to consider what the reason is, looking at that root cause, and then looking at what actions you can take. Open maintenance requests, very high trend line. Forecasting that will continue up. So this is a really good performance trigger. What conversations do I need to have? And then vacant days by portfolio. So we can see over here, Bob's portfolio, highest amount of properties, really suffering with those vacant days. So we can look at redistributing work, updating as applicable, or getting him some additional support or performance coaching. Okay, so those are some of the key reports you can use to manage your day, to have a look at your business results. Now, a few other ones. Let's have a look here, maintenance report. So this is a good one because it does give you all those maintenance snapshots. You can look at your open and close rate, you can forecast, and you can look at the rates of things like emergency maintenance coming in. We also have, if I pop down, here we have a few different ones. So we have our management income, we have our fee revenue. We also have benchmarking by arrears. So anytime we look at arrears, if you're going to apply your automations, this is a great tool to look at how results are changing. So after you turn your automations on, are your arrears going down? After you make some changes to your automations, how is that impacting your arrears? Now, just to call out that there are a lot of reports. So there is 24 reports across both our Accelerate and our Premium tiers. Now, if you're at Accelerate, you get a lot of reports available to you. And then for those of you in Premium, we get our PM KPI dashboard and our business KPI dashboard as well. So giving you all of that performance data and forecasting. Now we have had a look at today, we've had a look at getting ready for analytics. So just some things to check, some things to overview, particularly around your workflows, particularly around your gained and lost reasons. We've had a little bit of a look at the new interface and functionality. So how you can drill up and down, how you can apply filters, how you can forecast. And then we've had a look at some of our key dashboards and reports. Now, the lovely Tash is going to throw a feedback survey into the chat for you. We do like to hear a little bit from you, particularly about how you enjoyed the webinar today, and we look forward to having you on our upcoming webinars. We are going to leave it open just a few minutes, so any final questions, pop them into the chat, pop them into the Q&A box, and big thank you to Anne, who has both worked on this, helped build it, and has been helping me today alongside Tash. So thank you, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon. Enjoy your lunch, wherever you may be.